Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we wrestle the fire hose of market information and distill it down to the essential insights you need to stay sharp.
And today, we are definitely strapping in for a high-velocity ride.
We are. We're heading straight into, I think, the most volatile corner of the crypto world right now.
Oh, absolutely. The Solana meme coin launch pads.
And we're laser focused on one project in particular, Tuna.
It was, by any measure, a dramatic holiday season for them. We're talking about TUNA, the native token of the Tuna.fund launchpad.
Yeah, and when you look at the raw financial snapshot of their post-Christmas launch, the movement is, it's just jarring.
It's the kind of chart that keeps traders up at night, for sure.
So let's just pull the data straight out of the source material here. We're talking about a platform that debuted a new mechanism, something designed specifically to, curb the chaos that just plagues these Solana launches.
And at first, it looked like a massive success.
It worked spectacularly. We saw an immediate run-up, peaking at a 68% gain.
And that's a climb from, what, about $0.0007?
Yeah, from 0.000700708 all the way up to 0.0011193. And they hit that high point by December 26th, a huge run in less than 48 hours.
It was a monster initial run. It was absolutely fueled by the hype and, some genuine excitement around a new platform trying to solve a real industry-wide problem.
The market wanted this solution to work.
They were hungry for it. And that enthusiasm, well, it drove the price up sharply.
And then we hit the wall.
The wall.
The bottom just fell out. Within 10 days, so by January 5th, 2026, the price had suffered just a dramatic 90% decline.
80%.
It settled down around 0.00001197, and that trajectory, massive initial success followed by a catastrophic collapse, that is exactly why we're doing this deep dive.
Right, and our mission today is really to analyze how the Build Tuna team, the developers behind all this, how they responded to that extreme swing.
We need to dissect their core innovation, this now famous 60-minute guardrail.
And then we have to critically evaluate their strategy for, rebuilding investor confidence as we head into this first quarter of 2026.
And the core question we are trying to answer for you today is so critical for assessing the future of these launchpads. Was this extreme volatility a failure of the Tuna platform itself?
Did their shiny new mechanism just prove useless against market gravity?
Or was this dramatic crash simply a feature of the speculative meme coin market? Something the platform was designed to manage, but maybe could only delay and not, fundamentally control.
The answer really determines whether Tuna is a fundamentally flawed project or just maybe a battered but potentially revolutionary innovation.
Okay, so to really appreciate what Tuna brought to the table with its V2.01 platform on Christmas Eve, you first have to understand the environment they were wading into.
It's a toxic environment, let's just be honest about it. The meme coin market, especially on Solana, has a well-documented and deeply entrenched pathology.
And that pathology is the insider dumping issue, right? What everyone just calls the rug pull problem.
Exactly.
It's the main reason, I think, that retail buyers have developed these severe trust issues with any newly launched token in this whole ecosystem.
Right. Think about how these projects usually launch. Tokens are often pre-minted or, insiders manage to get huge stakes at basically zero cost.
So they're already way ahead of the game.
Way ahead.
Yeah.
They launch quickly, attract a ton of liquidity from retail buyers who are chasing that quick 10x return. And then those insiders, with their vast cheap supply, they dump.
All at once.
All at once. And that action drains the liquidity pool instantly, leaving almost everyone else holding worthless tokens. It's this dynamic of a rapid launch and then an immediate coordinated collapse. It's been so damaging to trust.
So if you're a regular person coming into this space, you're essentially gambling. Yeah. You're betting that you aren't the last one in and that the person right next to you isn't an insider just waiting to sell their entire position right into your buy order.
It's a structural problem. It's not just a market problem.
And that structural issue makes it incredibly difficult for any newcomer to get any traction, especially when they have to compete with the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Pump.fun, it just dominates the space. It's established. It has these insane network effects.
The data is staggering.
Yeah.
They were responsible for over 12 million token launches by the middle of 2025.
12 million.
When you have a platform with that much activity, the network effects, user familiarity, existing integrations, the sheer volume of people, it creates a fortress.
So any new player, especially one trying to make big structural changes, has to overcome that and convince people that, learning this new system is worth the extra safety.
And that's the arena Tuna walked into with V2.01. Their goal wasn't just to launch more tokens, it was to launch a fundamentally safer token economy.
Which brings us to their big idea, the 60-minute bonding curve with zero loss exit protection.
That's it. It's a combination of two technical features that are designed to work together.
Okay, let's unpack the first part of that, the bonding curve price discovery. We hear about bonding curves a lot, but how does Tuna specifically address the panic problem?
So the bonding curve here, it basically functions as a programmatic, an automated pricing mechanism. So imagine the price of the token is climbing a ladder, and each rung is a little bit higher than the last.
Okay.
As demand grows, so more people buying in, the price automatically increases according to a formula that's locked into the smart contract.
So it's not an open market order book just yet. It's more like a staircase that the community builds together with their buying pressure.
Precisely. And this is crucial for two reasons. First, it makes sure the price discovery is orderly, is programmatic, driven just by demand. And second, it's designed to actively discourage panic selling in that initial 60-minute window
How does it do that?
by making exits progressively less attractive. If you jump out too fast, you miss the automatic price lift that's being generated by everyone else's buying momentum. It rewards patience, even if it's just for an hour.
Okay, now here's where Tuna really innovates, right? This is where they separate themselves from just another delay mechanism, the zero loss exit option.
This is the guardrail.
Walk us through how that works and why it's so different from just, say, locking liquidity.
This is the core piece of capital protection. For early buyers, they can choose to exit their position during that 60-minute window without capital loss.
Wait, without any capital loss?
Well, to be clear, you still have to pay the Solana gas fees, which are super minimal, but they're there.
Okay.
But in terms of your principal investment, the actual money you put in to buy the tokens, you get that back.
That is a staggering technical guarantee in the hyper-speculative meme coin world.
It is.
So you're telling me if I buy $100 worth of some new token and 30 minutes later the price starts to, collapse because of fear, I can just pull my $100 out.
Yes, it's actual verifiable capital protection that's coded right into the mechanism. If you buy in at price X and the market starts wobbling violently within that hour, you can essentially hit a retreat button and get your original principal back.
That just completely neutralizes the single biggest reason people panic sell.
It does. It removes the race to save something before the price hits zero. You know that. Worst case, you could just scratch the trade and you're only out a few cents in gas fees.
So that has to fundamentally change the market psychology. Before Tuna, it was a race to the bottom, right? Trying to front-run the insider dump that you knew was coming.
It's a complete 180-degree shift. Instead of racing to be the first person out of a burning building, buyers now have this sort of safe zone to make a genuine assessment.
So they're evaluating whether the initial demand, the conviction in the token, is strong enough to last past that first hour.
Exactly. They have 60 minutes of safety to decide if they actually believe in the project's long term. And then, after that hour is up, the tokens transition to open market trading on a DX like Meteora.
And then you're back to normal price risk.
Then you're back to the full force of market dynamics.
So the mechanism doesn't stop people from selling later. It just forces capital commitment for that critical first hour. And it gets rid of the existential risk of an immediate rug pull.
It's a really elegant structural solution to a toxic market problem.
Yeah, it guarantees early buyers a clear way out if the project is a dud right away. So it puts the burden on the project creator to build something people are actually willing to hold past that 60-minute guardrail.
And that last point is key. It shifts the responsibility for safety from the buyer, who usually has to use these complex tools to try and detect a dump to the platform creator. It just raises the entry bar for quality.
So despite all the volatility that came later, the initial launch on Christmas Eve 2025, it wasn't a slow fizzle at all.
No, it was a massive wave of interest. So massive that it pretty much overwhelmed their systems almost immediately.
Which is, I guess, the strongest possible indicator that the platform was viable, right? You rarely see new protocols launch with too much demand.
Right, and we saw that even with just 2 initial test tokens launching on their new system, they generated $200 in creator fees within minutes.
That's rapid validation. It shows the market was just sitting there, eagerly waiting for a meme coin launchpad with some kind of new safety mechanism.
That volume immediately signaled strong interest. But that success exposed the Achilles heel of any successful crypto launch.
Infrastructure capacity.
We immediately ran into technical problem category 1, site infrastructure issues. The Build Tuna team reported right away that the Launchpad site was, and I'm quoting here, overloaded with visitors.
Which, in the bizarre world of crypto, an overload is a good problem to have. But practically speaking, it's a catastrophe if your users can't actually interact with the tokens they want to buy.
And it leads directly to technical problem category 2, loading problems. Users started reporting serious performance and interface loading issues with the platform itself.
So people who were trying to jump into that high adrenaline launch frenzy were just met with frustration, lag, maybe even failed transactions.
Yeah, and this is where user confidence can just erode instantly no matter how good your underlying tech is.
So you have a platform that structurally fixes a market trust problem, but the user experience breaks on day one because too many people showed up.
This is the moment where a lot of projects just fail. They freeze, they panic, they go silent. But the Build Tuna team, they showed a really remarkable level of operational responsiveness.
The speed of their response is maybe the strongest signal of technical competence we have in the sources.
Totally. They pushed the v2.02 patch the same day, December 24th, specifically addressing the loading issues and minor loading problems.
On Christmas Eve.
On Christmas Eve. Pushing same-day bug fixes when you're dealing with an unexpected traffic load like that demonstrates a real seriousness and, technical preparedness.
Okay, but I have to push back a little here. I mean, while the same-day fix is impressive, doesn't the fact that the platform was immediately overloaded suggest a failure in preparation or stress testing?
That's a fair challenge.
Why launch a mechanism that's meant to attract massive volume if your infrastructure couldn't handle it?
I think it suggests that while their core contract logic was solid, their front-end hosting and their RPC resource allocation just underestimated the sheer novelty factor of a zero-loss launchpad.
So they prepared for a launch, but they didn't prepare for a stampede.
I think that's a good way to put it. But their saving grace was the transparency that followed.
And that transparency is a huge differentiator. You compare this to so many failed crypto launches where the teams just vanish, they abandon the project or go radio silent.
Whereas Build Tuna maintained public communication, they were promising another big update tomorrow after gathering all suggestions bug reports.
Which signals they were actively listening, debugging, and, integrating community feedback in real time. That builds crucial psychological bridges during a stressful time.
And we really have to maintain the distinction here between what was fixed and what was working by design. They fixed site capacity, interface loading, minor front-end stuff.
Purely operational fixes to improve accessibility.
Right. Let's just reiterate this point clearly for everyone. The 60-minute zero-loss cell mechanism was operating as designed.
There were no critical smart contract exploits, no mechanical failures of the guardrail itself.
The integrity of the core innovation was sound. The infrastructure around it just couldn't handle the traffic.
That's the vital takeaway from this phase. The initial stage confirmed two things. There's massive demand for a safer launchpad, and this team is technically capable of rapid deployment and fixing their own messes.
But all of this, really, it only set the stage for the real market test. What happens when that safety net disappears?
Okay, so we've established the rapid technical execution, the massive initial enthusiasm, the immediate fixes. Now let's talk about the cold, hard reality check.
The crash.
The crash. The price peaked at 0.00011193 on December 26th. That's that 68% gain. By January 5th, 2026, it had collapsed to 0.00001197. That 90% decline is the market's decisive assessment.
And when an asset drops 90%, the natural assumption in the crypto space is, technical failure, insider fraud, a smart contract exploit.
Something broke.
Right. So the first thing you need to understand is what the data confirms didn't happen, because this is essential context for understanding the market dynamics.
So it's a good project management sign that the failure wasn't like an existential one. What does the data rule out?
It rules out catastrophic structural failure. We saw, one, no smart contract exploits. The lockup mechanism held. The technical guardrail did its job.
Okay.
2, no insider dumps violating protocols. The team or major early investors didn't use some shady method to exit their positions illegally. 3, no platform failures, beyond those initial load issues that they fixed. And 4, no rug pull accusations. There was no sudden, unexplained draining of the liquidity pool.
So if the code worked and the team wasn't fraudulent, we are dealing with pure, unadulterated market dynamics.
Exactly. This was a market reality test that exposed the limits of the innovation, not a weakness in the code.
So what forces drove that 90% collapse?
It really boils down to 3 powerful market dynamics that all collided during a period of pretty low liquidity.
Okay, what's number 1?
First, and most critically, post-lockup release. The 60-minute zero-loss protection is like a bubble of safety. The minute that timer expires, the tokens fully transition to the open market on Meteor DX.
And they're exposed to standard price risk.
Mm-hmm. That's a huge psychological transition. For 60 minutes, traders knew they had an escape hatch. At 60 minutes and 1 second, that hatch is locked, and they are fully committed.
The market has to reflect that instant shift in risk.
It does. Once it's on the OpenGX, sellers could dump positions at will. The mechanism successfully delayed the inevitable sell-off. It pushed the panic from the launch moment to, 61 minutes later or maybe 24 hours later, but it couldn't, by design, prevent market forces from taking over once the safety net was gone.
Which feeds directly into the second and probably most rational cause of the decline, profit-taking and reversion to the mean.
Absolutely. We have to remember that early buyers who got in at that 0.000708 price, they achieved a 68% gain in just 2 days.
In any financial market, but especially a speculative one, a 68% return in 48 hours is a colossal, almost irresistible profit opportunity.
And the impulse to realize those gains is massive. People who trade meme coins are generally looking for quick spikes. When they see a 68% profit, they're not thinking about the 3-year roadmap.
They're thinking about cashing out.
They're thinking about securing their winnings. And without a continuous stream of new buyers flowing in to absorb all those massive profit-taking sales, the classic speculative bubble had no choice but to deflate.
And the third factor, holiday weakness, is often overlooked, but it must have amplified the selling pressure.
Exponentially. We're talking about the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
This is a historically weak period for highly speculative assets. Trading volume across many markets is dramatically reduced. Traders, especially the pros, they're liquidating positions for year-end rebalancing, or they're just on vacation.
And low trading volumes, it's like an amplifier for selling pressure, right?
Exactly. It takes far fewer large sell orders to move the price dramatically down when the buy-side depth is that thin.
So what we saw wasn't a failure of the tuna guardrail, but a failure of sustained confidence, made worse by bad market timing and just rational profit-taking.
The mechanism eliminated the worst pathology, the immediate insider rug pull. But the 90% decline that followed suggests a critical failure of long-term belief in the token itself.
It forces us to ask, what did this market test actually prove?
The mechanism proved it could force capital commitment for the first hour and successfully get rid of the insider dump at launch. But the collapse showed 2 deeper market realities.
Which were?
First, early buyers were just riding the hype bump from the new mechanism. They saw the 60-minute lockup as a temporary price guarantee window, not a reason to hold long-term. And second, the post-launch demand for the token was just critically insufficient to offset the necessary profit-taking that follows a 68% run.
So let's issue the critical assessment now. The market tested whether Tuna's 60-minute protection could sustain buyer confidence past that initial spike, or whether it would just delay the panic.
And the data suggests it successfully delayed the panic, but it did not prevent the dramatic correction.
It's a nuanced conclusion.
It is. The technical execution of the mechanism was sound. It performed exactly as it was coded to. But the overall market sentiment, the willingness of traders to hold through volatility, it just wasn't there.
The team executed the launch beautifully. The market treated the token like every other speculative bubble it had ever seen.
Which sets up a fascinating challenge for the team, right? How do you convince a market that just saw a 90% drop that your innovation still matters?
But that is the big question, and it's why their response in this next phase is so vital. They had to switch immediately from, technical firefighting to strategic confidence building.
So when you're faced with a 90% market capitulation, your team has to signal resilience and commitment fast.
And the Build Tuna team, they shifted their communication right away, didn't they?
Immediately. They moved their focus from fixing code to implementing what the sources correctly termed hard economic supports.
Which means they moved beyond just vague promises and started aligning incentives using actual capital.
These supports signal to the market that the team has actual skin in the game and is committed to tangible value flow.
So what's the first major mechanism?
The first one is the revenue-driven buyback program.
Okay, this is a classic confidence signal, right? Borrowed from traditional finance, but with a crypto twist.
A very transparent twist. The team committed to using protocol revenue. So the money the Launchpad generates from fees to purchase TUNA tokens directly on the open market on-chain.
And how does that compare to, say, a traditional stock buyback?
Well, in traditional finance, a stock buyback can be kind of opaque. You might not see the execution details right away. But in Tuna's model, these buybacks are verifiable transactions on the Solana chain.
That transparency is a powerful signal.
It is. By using capital generated by the platform's own success to support their token's price, the team provides constant, verifiable buy-side pressure. It literally means the platform is using its own profits to put a soft floor under the price. That signals a financial commitment that's way stronger than any white paper promise.
It's the team putting their money where their mouth is, backed by the platform's utility, not just some initial VC money.
Exactly. The second major incentive they implemented is the fee-to-holders distribution.
And this is designed to create what's known as positive carry for bag holders.
Right. And we should probably explain that term, positive carry.
Yeah, why is this different from just standard staking or yield farming?
So positive carry means you receive tangible income just by holding the asset, and that's regardless of whether the price is going up or down.
Okay.
Standard staking, it often requires locking tokens for specific periods, and the rewards are paid out in the same token, which actually increases supply pressure. Tuna's approach is different. The mechanism directs system fees, specifically 1% of all platform transaction volume in the first 24 hours of a launch. And it distributes those fees directly to token holders.
For all of them.
Initially, they target the top 200 to 300 holders, with immediate plans to expand that to the top 500.
So if the platform facilitates a huge volume of token launches and trading, even if the TUNA token price is just going sideways, holders are still receiving a stream of tangible value. It's like a dividend tied to the platform's utility.
It is. And it rewards those who hold to volatility and incentivizes the big holders to maintain their positions.
It transforms the TUNA token from just a pure speculative asset into a sort of fractional ownership share in the Launchpad's ongoing revenue.
And that brings us to the third piece, which addresses the supply side, the creator fee structure.
And this is the key to attracting high-quality projects onto the Tuna Launchpad and, away from Pump.Fun.
It has to be. So creators of tokens launched on Tuna receive a 1% fee on all subsequent transactions involving their token. And crucially, this fee is paid out every single minute.
Every minute. Why so granular? That seems like overkill.
It's psychological, but it's also practical. It provides real-time recurring revenue. A developer who launches a token on Tuna literally sees their revenue stream updating every 60 seconds.
That has to be a powerful incentive.
It's designed to incentivize high-quality developers to use Tuna, because if they're confident their token will generate sustainable volume, they have an instant, continuous revenue stream.
Okay, so let's talk about communication and planning. The sources noted the team delayed releasing a detailed roadmap, which in crypto, an information vacuum can be a death sentence, especially after a 90% crash.
Right. Delaying the roadmap is definitely unusual. Most launchpads publish a 12-month technical roadmap before they even launch mainnet.
But Tuna took a more pragmatic approach.
They did. They decided to gather post-launch data and community feedback before committing to long-term feature development. They committed to publishing a detailed roadmap later, focusing instead on continuous improvements like fee optimization and infrastructure stability.
I can see the argument for that. I mean, why build features the market doesn't need when you can focus on strengthening your core mechanism?
Exactly. But they didn't just rely on vague promises. They provided a specific, strategic expansion plan that signaled their long-term intent.
The BNB chain integration?
Right. They mentioned BNB chain integration as a forthcoming expansion.
And that's a critical signal. By integrating with BNB chain, they immediately diversify and increase their addressable market beyond just Solana. It hedges against Solana-specific risks and opens up a massive new user base.
It's a classic strategy for a protocol that's looking for network effects. If the users aren't holding on Solana, maybe the platform will find product market fit on another highly active chain.
And finally, transparency ties all these economic supports together. All the buybacks, the fee distributions, they're all visible on the Solana chain.
This is non-negotiable for rebuilding trust after that kind of volatility. Investors can verify the team's capital commitment in real time. It contrasts so favorably with projects that just rely on, vague, unverifiable claims about token burns or internal market support. Here, you see the capital commitment happening.
So we've tracked Tuna through innovation, crisis, and a strategic response. Now we have to synthesize its competitive positioning. How does it really stand against the deeply entrenched pump fund, and what makes it truly different?
I think Tuna's competitive position really rests on three key differentiators, and they all stem from their commitment to structural safety.
Okay, what are they?
First, mechanism innovation. That 60-minute protection with a zero-loss exit is an industry first in the Solana space. It's a direct response to the community's demand for safer launches. Second, the zero-loss design itself. This is not just a delayed liquidity lock, it's actual capital protection minus gas. That's a genuine, tangible safety feature that reduces the immediate downside risk for buyers.
And the third?
Revenue sustainability. The system and creator fees are structured to create ongoing incentive alignment. They provide continuous revenue streams for both the creators and the holders. It's a mechanism for long-term survival, not just launch hype.
So it seems like they engineered a superior product, but the launch volatility just severely damaged market perception. The narrative became, even with the guardrail, it still crashed.
That's the narrative they have to fight.
So let's issue the honest assessment based on our source material. How do we grade this?
We can grade the launch performance in two critical categories: execution grade and hype management grade.
Okay, let's start with execution.
On the execution grade, the team gets high marks. They were operationally sound. The rapid fixes, that V2.02 patch, showed technical competence. Transparent communication during stress and the implementation of those revenue-driven supports are major green flags for crisis management.
They proved they could build and maintain the platform.
They did, but the hype management grade? That was severely challenged.
Yeah, that 90% decline suggests that the structural reform, as sound as it is, has not yet convinced the speculative market to hold through volatility.
The meme coin dynamics still heavily favor immediate momentum over any kind of structural long-term safety reforms.
The collapse was a harsh reality test.
It was. The mechanism delayed the sell-off, but it didn't fundamentally change the speculative mindset quickly enough. Tuna is currently in this uncertain middle ground. Successful technical execution, but uncertain product market fit because of that massive volatility.
So how do we determine if the project is actually a success over the next year? What are the decisive metrics for Q1 2026 and beyond?
Well, we won't have the definitive data for 6 to 12 months, but the critical metric is purely comparative and behavioral.
Meaning?
The determining factor is whether future tokens launched on Tuna show meaningfully better post-launch holding patterns than tokens launched on, say, Pump.Fun equivalents.
And what does meaningfully better look like in this context?
It means demonstrably lower post-lockup volatility. It means a significantly longer average hold time for investors. The price action cannot keep repeating that 90% collapse pattern.
So if Tuna launches 5 more tokens and all of them suffer the same fate after 60 minutes, the innovation will be deemed insufficient.
Right. It would mean it failed to change the deeply ingrained market behavior.
So in essence, does the zero loss feature fundamentally change investor behavior on the Tuna platform, or does it just create a temporary vacuum of risk?
Exactly. If the mechanism only slightly delays the sell-off and subsequent launches consistently drop 90%, then the market will just use Tuna as a protected launching pad to ride a 60-minute speculative wave before jumping ship.
It faces a binary outcome.
It does. It has to achieve network effects and become a platform that genuinely fosters higher quality, longer-lasting projects, or it will just fade as a temporary, fascinating innovation that failed to get critical market acceptance.
The team's robust response, buybacks, the fee distribution, the technical resilience, it all indicates professional crisis management.
But the market's response, that 90% drop it, indicates a deep structural skepticism about meme coin longevity, regardless of technical safety rails.
So the core of the issue is that a 90% price decline suggests structural headwinds.
Either the market doesn't believe the 60-minute mechanism changes behavior, or the enthusiasm was just unsustainable given the holiday timing. The team's financial commitment can slow the decline, but only sustained high-quality launches and growing network effects will secure its long-term future. #tagged outro.
To bring this deep dive into Tuna to a close, let's quickly synthesize the core takeaways. The fundamental innovation is that 60-minute zero-loss exit mechanism.
An elegant, technically sound solution to the endemic rug pull problem on Solana.
And the mechanism worked perfectly as a design feature, right? It successfully forced that initial capital commitment, and it prevented the immediate insider dump pathology that just plagues the space.
Right. And the team's operational fixes were all infrastructural, not mechanical failures of the guardrail itself.
And crucially, the team responded to the market collapse with what you called hard economic supports.
Transparent, on-chain buybacks tied to protocol revenue and a unique fee distribution system designed to create positive carry for long-term holders. These are significant confidence signals.
But here is the challenge that lingers and the provocative thought we want to leave you with.
The 60-minute lockup did not prevent the crash. It merely delayed it until the protection expired. So if an innovation only delays a massive market correction, what is its actual value proposition?
Does zero loss exit fundamentally change the nature of speculation by removing the most immediate downside risk, making trading healthier?
Or does it simply redistribute the timing of volatility from the first 5 minutes to the 61st minute, creating a guaranteed, albeit delayed, cliff edge?
The decisive answer will be written in the performance data of new token launches on Tuna over the next 6 to 12 months. That is the only metric that matters now.
We will definitely be analyzing those future charts closely. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
See you next time.